Today we're making my go-to low-calorie, high-protein bagel recipe. These bagels have a third less calories than normal bagels and twice as much protein. And as a lot of you guys know, I've been trying to lose a little weight lately, and these have been coming in clutch, not just to eat with some cream cheese, but to make sandwiches with too. So to make them, you'll want to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. And then to a large bowl, we're going to add just over a scoop or about 30 grams of some unflavored whey protein powder. And I highly recommend going with this one by Isopure to make your low-calorie bagels. It's what I used, and it just works great to make breads and bagels with like we're making today. Now, as you're seeing here, the next thing we're going to add to the bowl is going to be 1¼ cups or 150 grams of some self-rising flour. And you'll notice I'm using a food scale to make my bagels, and I highly recommend that you do the same because it's super important to get the measurements right when you're making these protein bagels for them to turn out absolutely perfect. But hey, if you don't want to use one, you do you, boo. Anyway, the next two ingredients are totally optional to make your bagels with, and that's going to be a nice sprinkle of xanthan gum, probably about 1/4 teaspoon, and a nice sprinkle of salt. The reason I like to use the xanthan gum is just because it gives these low-calorie bagels the perfect amount of chewiness that you'd expect from a normal bagel, and the salt is really just because I like things kind of salty. So now that the dry ingredients have been mixed up pretty well, I'm going to form a little well in the center of them, and I'm going to add about 2/3 cup or 150 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt in there. And a pro tip here is to use a really high quality yogurt like Fage. You want to use something that is strained really well and is super thick to make these protein bagels with. Then when we've added that in there, we're going to use a rubber spatula to pull the flour mixture into the yogurt until we've got a crumbly consistency going on in the bowl. And now once that's going on in there, we're going to add a little flour to our hands so that the dough doesn't stick to them. And we're going to dump the dough out onto our work surface area. And we're going to use our hands to knead and work the dough into a big ball of dough. And just so you know, the dough at this point should be a little sticky. Then when it is, we're going to use a pastry scraper to cut the ball of dough into 4 equal-sized smaller balls. And we're going to start shaping our healthy bagels out of them. With that said, we'll want to roll the balls of dough out until they're about 8 inches long. And then we can use our hands and fingers to connect the two ends of the dough to form the shape of a circle. So now that we've got the dough connected, we're just going to continue to work it into the shape of a bagel. And then when that's looking good, we're going to just repeat the same process with the rest of our dough. All right, so once we got our bagels all shaped and formed, we're going to add them to a baking sheet lined with parchment paper, coat them real quick with some baking spray, and then add some everything bagel seasoning to them. At least that's what I'm going to do since I wanted to make my low-calorie bagels everything bagel flavored. Anyway, the next step is popping these into the oven for about 12 to 15 minutes. And then when they're just starting to turn golden brown in there, I'm going to take them out and let them cool down on the tray. Then once they're cooled, we should have some absolutely delicious looking low-calorie, high-protein bagels like this. Oh, and I highly recommend not just adding some cream cheese to these healthy bagels, but also making some sandwiches with them too. Trust me, if you do that, you will not regret it.